All right, folks. It's working, I think. Somebody type something if it's working. All right, folks. It's working. All right, folks. I think. Somebody type something. Okay. Yeah. All right. Really sorry about that, folks. It's sort of why I'm doing more of these so I can figure out how to make it work. I learn something every time I do this. Wow, look at all these people. Let me just say this. The last chat went pretty well, and I do really want to thank the people that contributed to the gas fund. Some guy gave me $20, and that's for a super chat. So I appreciate that because I do have expenses. Yeah, YouTube pays me, but not an awful lot. I do freelance stuff to pay the bills. This is my first love. So, all right, let's see. All right, so let's start off with Richard H. Because Richard H. has put up some money. What's more fun to drive, a rear-wheel drive Taycan or an Audi RS5? That brings up a really good point. I know that everybody wants the super fast Taycans, the dual motors, but I really liked the rear drive base Taycan because it has that rear drive dynamic and it feels really good. It's not as quick as, say, a 4S, but it's got a very, very good drivability to it. I mean, the car itself is amazing, whether it's the rear drive or the all-wheel drive. But I liked it. It was more fun to drive than I would have thought. And the other reality is, yeah, you have more power, and the RS5 is going to be more powerful, and it's got great engine sound. But what's going on in the real world is it's really hard to drive these cars to their potential, to their real potential. You have to track these cars. You know, cars are getting so good these days that if you really want to wring them out and you want to do it without, maybe hitting a bicyclist or something that's around a corner, you really have to go to a track. So, Richard, I hope that answered your question. But both of them are great cars. If you can, test drive them both, okay? Let's see. Justin, thank you very much. I'm just doing the car reviews that I always wanted to see. So, Dallas, you just drove the iX yesterday and loved it. Yes, of course you loved it. They're a really nice car. Not everybody's up with the design, but they're terrific vehicles. They really truly are. Vroom. Got to get the Sport Turismo, right? The Sport Turismo is great. I'm actually getting, no, I had a Sport Turismo. I'm getting a Cross Turismo in a couple weeks. And so the Taycan's a great vehicle. Money, no object. That's what I would buy. But then I'd have to build a bigger garage because I've got a smaller garage. So it just kind of just keeps going and going and going and going. So I don't think I'll be getting one anytime soon. Cigar, I've ordered a Lucid Air GT. Still not sure if I'm going to take delivery of it, but any chance we'll be getting one soon. You know what? I don't know. I haven't seen one in the press fleet, and I don't know how they're doling those out. I've been to the Lucid dealership here in Seattle. I've seen them, haven't driven them. Beautiful car. And congratulations to you if you can get your hands on one. So it's not going to happen anytime soon, not for lack of trying. Miguel, tell your story of how I started reviewing cars. So here's the deal. Cars have always been my useless command of knowledge. I mean, some of you guys are into baseball stats. You know, we all have that, right? And I worked for television stations in Minneapolis and Seattle. And so what I would do is I would tell my boss, hey, look, let's do a half an hour automobile special. And I would go back to Detroit and we would do stories and it was loads of fun. And those always did pretty well. Well, I had to buy a car because my Miata was no longer cutting it when I had two kids that I was trying to get to school at the same time. And the guy that I ended up buying a Ford Focus from, I just needed something cheap with 4 seats. We got to talking and he said, wow, you know a lot about cars. I work for MSN Autos and why aren't you getting press cars? And I'm like, what? Press cars? And he said, yeah, just contact these guys and they'll give you cars. So I went to my boss and we started doing car reviews. And the funny thing is, originally, see, I've never been on camera. I was always a photographer editor. And the show host that I was working with wouldn't do the car reviews because he didn't know anything about cars. And so I was all depressed about that. And then my boss said, hey, get a haircut, put on a clean shirt. And, you know, a trained monkey can go in front of the camera. And so I started doing that. That was like 20 years ago. So that's how I got started. And that's kind of the short story, but that's really all you need to know. Let's see, the new Genesis GV60 looks great. I have not seen it in person. From the photos, I will be honest with you, I think it looks a little weird, but I have been told that in person it looks great. And that is something that I will always adhere to, and that is I will never rate what a car looks like until I've seen it in person. Because there are cars that look great in person, they don't photograph well, and the other way around. I've seen pictures of vehicles that I thought, wow, that's amazing. And you see it in person and it's just awkward. So anyways, let's see. The Taycan is a little too tight in the back seat. Yep, it is. But then I would get the Sport or Cross Turismo. It kind of takes care of that. You know what? I'm a driver. I don't really care about the back seat. And if I'm giving somebody a ride, they're getting a ride, right? If they're going to complain, call Uber, right? Okay. Let's see. Mike Gall, Z4 or Boxster, your favorite, and which would you prefer for boring Midwestern roads? Let's see here. You know, I would take the Boxster. And it's really close. This is personal, right? You need to decide for yourself. But I kind of appreciate everything that Porsche does. And Boxsters and Caymans are one of my favorite cars. I always thought that I was going to get one until I've just decided that I'm not going to be buying gas-powered cars anymore. I'm going to be going electric. So for me, the current car that I'm looking forward to would be the electrified Cayman, and I'm sure the Boxster. But I would say that the Z4 is probably going to be a little bit more comfortable overall. And a bit of a better cruiser. And maybe for boring Midwestern roads, that might be the thing that you would want. But I really like the interior of the Boxster and the Cayman. Really like the way that Porsche does that. And there's also, you know, the flat engine, you know, whether it's the 4 or the 6. I'm not sure what model you're thinking about getting. Lower center of gravity. I like the sound of the engine behind me. It's always a treat. But that's my take on it. You know, I don't really know your needs, but I am a big fan of the Boxster and the Cayman. Like the Z4 too. I don't know. You can't go wrong, really. Did that answer your question? Let me know. I've been loving my plug-in hybrid, but I did the math and my cost per mile are the same for electric as gas. Wow. How expensive is your electricity? Because here in Seattle, we're about, I want to say, 12 cents per kilowatt hour. It's significantly cheaper than gas. But what plug-in hybrid do you have, and why do you think it's so expensive? I will wait for a follow-up. Do you think the Nissan Leaf is still worth buying with its outdated CHAdeMO fast charging? You know, I'm in a Bolt EUV right now. Personally, I think that the Bolt is the best affordable electric car that you can buy now, and especially used, because you're getting, a new battery. General Motors, they're taking care of their Bolt owners, and which I think is great. I know everybody's dumping on them for the battery issue. That's an LG Chem issue, and General Motors is doing the right thing. So the Leaf, I think they've worked out the thermal issues with their battery, but if you live in very, very hot climates, the battery is air-cooled. So I don't know. I think I would wait. Also, Nissan's coming out with the Aria soon, and I've seen it. I haven't driven it, but it's nice. Might be worth waiting for. Let's see. Torlige? Is it French? I don't know. Hello, fellow Minnesotan, Minneapolis. Used to work at WCCO. What brought me out to the Seattle area? Going to the Midwest Automotive Media Association Spring Rally. I am not. I don't even know about that because I'm here in Seattle. You know what brought me out to Seattle? The weather, which is maybe kind of funny, but the reality is I don't have to shovel the precipitation in January. So, although we did this year because we had a bad snowstorm, but you know what? Back in the day, I was thinking that I was very young. I was 21 years old. I had been working in Minneapolis for a while and decided I was going to go on an adventure, and somebody told me Seattle was great. So I looked it up on the map and found King Television, which is a great TV station, and just decided to wing it. So here I am, like 30 some years later. All right, what does Evil Twin drive? Evil Twin doesn't have a driver's license. That's a long story. He can't be insured. Just saying. Brandon, for 2022, what's the most tech-savvy small van SUV for under $35,000? Even the $50,000 Toyota Sienna seems outdated. I don't know what tech you're looking for. Tech for tech's sake. My thing with tech is there is some tech for tech's sake. People are trying to impress people with touchscreens and all that kind of stuff. The reality is I like stuff that just works, right? I know that General Motors isn't up high on the list for super great, tech and all. But the reality is their user interface is really good. It doesn't look flashy or anything like that, but it's touchscreen and it's very simply laid out. It's very easy to use. It's not distracting while you're driving. The thing is that what I'm really excited about the most is all of the casual voice prompts. BMW, Mercedes, they all have these things where you just say, hey, BMW, I need directions to Costco. And they're really good. Volvo's is very good, the new Android Automotive system. And that's all going to be trickling down to affordable cars really quickly. And so that's the tech that I really like. But sorry, I don't know that I'm answering your question very well, but because I'm not really exactly sure what tech you're looking for. You know, the fact of the matter is many times Android Auto or Apple CarPlay is really all you need in a vehicle, and that works all pretty well. Maine, okay, 22 cents per kilowatt hour. BMW X330e. Gas is just a hair more expensive. Well, Dimitri, at the very least, if you're using electricity, you know that you're not putting a lot of particulates in the air and you're lowering your carbon footprint. Wow, that's expensive. 22. I mean, I know that Seattle has cheap electricity, but wow, that's something. Let's see. Ted has chimed in for like 10 bucks. Thanks, Ted. Let's see. We'll be 40 in 3 more years, saving for a rear-wheel drive. Cayman, Supra, Nissan Z, your obvious options. What would I choose? I always preface all of this with, it doesn't matter what I would choose because my wants and needs are all different from yours. What I suggest is go out, test drive as much as you can, and find out how it feels to you, how everything fits in. I mean, some people are golfers and they're going to need to put their golf clubs in. I mean, not everybody uses toilet paper, you know, in their trunks and fills it up with that. I am unique in that way. You know what? All of those are fun. I will also throw in the Mazda Miata, which is a terrific vehicle. I love the Miata. Mine, I bought new, still have it 32 years later, and I still smile when I drive that car. I don't drive it enough, but it's old, it's slow, it creaks and it rattles, but it's still a joy to drive. So really, honestly, I suggest getting out there and test driving as much as you can, right? Because they all feel different. And if you're looking for a fun track toy or just a fun car to drive, you know, on a twisty, turny road, you really need to be able to discern that for yourself. What connects to your synapses? You have great choices, though. Hope that answered your question. Richard H., I-Pace or Audi e-tron SUV for a daily driver? You know what? I'm working on the I-Pace review right now. That's coming in a couple of weeks. And I think the I-Pace is one of those electric vehicles that people forget about. I know I did. It was sort of off my radar screen. And I like it. I mean, I like the fact that, I mean, it looks great, it's usable, all that kind of stuff. I think the Audi has a little bit more room, if I remember correctly. The I-Pace is really fun to drive. All of these electric vehicles with the battery packs in the floor and the lower center of gravity, blah, 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 all of them are really fun to drive. But I was just looking over my notes and everything that I said on camera while I was driving it. And I did say that I was especially impressed with the driving dynamics of the I-Pace. And as far as reliability, I know that Jaguar gets kind of dinged for that. As far as I know, those are fairly reliable. So, you know, there is no motor, there is no transmission. So, good luck with that. Update on my Cadillac ELR, still in my garage. It's great, you know. I don't get to drive it as much because I'm always driving other people's cars, but we took it out. We went out for a fancy dinner and took it out, and it is one of those cars that people have never heard of. They only made 2,800, and so people are are very surprised when they find out it's electrified, and I get a lot of comments on the design, which I still think is one of the best designs to come out of General Motors in the last 10, 15 years. You know, it's my car, of course. I bought it partly because of the design. So I'm going to be biased there. But, you know, it's been great. My wife has a Volt. The Voltec powertrain is kind of bulletproof. They are very reliable. They're very economical to run. I miss my NB Miata, Jeffrey. Of course you do. They're loads of fun. Yeah, I know. I, you know, I gotta work on the lighting thing. So, let's see if I do this. Is that better? The I-Pace is great, but it has a lot of issues with charging. So here's the deal with that. You know, there's the charge curve. A lot of people talk about it and say, I'm not going to buy this car because it doesn't charge very fast. Well, the reality is that most people are charging overnight. And the only time they're ever going to be using it is when they go on road trips. You have to ask yourself how often you're going to be going on a road trip. I don't know that many people that are always charging their cars on the road. I know that there are people out there, but I always base my stuff and my evaluations on real world, you know, patterns and stuff like that. And like 90% of all electric charging is done at home. And I kind of feel like it should be. And so where am I going with this? I know that's like the Chevy Bolt that I am in right now. It's not particularly fast. I think it takes on 95 miles in 30 minutes. And, you know, if you're traveling, you know, that's kind of a drag. But the reality is, in everyday use, you skip all those trips to the gas station. And so, you know, you're saving time over the long run. And there are those times when you're on road trips and it's going to take a while to charge up. So maybe it all evens out. Hard to know. Dimitri, thanks for the reply. I don't regret my plug-in X3 for a second since it's a blast to drive and emits less. Time to go solar. Yeah, I just ran into a guy today in my neighborhood, and we're thinking about going solar. Solar works even in Seattle, even though we have a lot of gray days. My roof doesn't really orient properly to the sun, so yeah, it's part of the answer. Everybody talks about electric cars overstressing the electrical grid, and solar is part of the answer. I don't have all the answers for that, but we need to start doing that. Any upcoming 3-row electric vehicles that I know of? I believe the Kia EV9 is a 3-row crossover. Pretty sure that it is. And because Kia is doing that, I have to believe that Hyundai will have some sort of answer to that. There's also the ID Buzz from Volkswagen. It's a van. We are only getting the long wheelbase version here in the US, so I believe that's 3 rows of seating. And I know that it's not an SUV, but it is a 3-row, and vans are cool. I will believe that till the day I die. Vans are awesome. If you've never used a van, you're missing out. They're terrific. Let's see. Someone asked above, and I'm also curious. Let's see. Subjectively, what's been my least favorite car to review? Boy. Let me think about that. You know, the thing is that I look at these very objectively. I mean, I think all of you are enthusiasts, and you know, everybody likes performance cars and all that kind of stuff. But when I get a car, I'm looking at it from a number of different ways, including how a team of engineers and product planners and accountants got together and said, we need a car to fill this niche. And sometimes it's something very inexpensive, like a Nissan Kicks. A Nissan Kicks is $22,000. There are a lot of luxury cars that have $22,000 worth of options on them. And so for this team to go through and create a vehicle that's affordable and reliable and desirable is a bit of a black art. So when I'm looking at a car, that's how I'm looking at it. Yes, I prefer performance cars because that's the kind of car that I like to drive typically. But you know, I'm looking at a vehicle very clinically and very globally, what it took to bring to market. Is anybody else just getting the right audio channel? Sorry about that. That is another thing that I need to figure out with my technical stuff. The best three-row SUV. Everybody seems to love the Palisade and the Telluride, but some people don't think that's an SUV. Some people think that's a crossover. So you might be thinking of a body on frame like Tahoe or Expedition. You know what? Here's the deal. And auto writers, we all get together and we talk about this. There is no best car, and everybody's making really good product these days. They are. There are no really horrible vehicles. Although, story for you, I was with an auto writer who shall not be named. And they always pair us up in a car. We were at an event. And we were talking about this very thing, about how there are no bad cars. And I said, no, there aren't. There really aren't. I mean, there might be inexpensive cars, and they don't have the features that expensive cars have. And I said, oh, wait a minute. No, the Mitsubishi Mirage, not a great car. And of course, he says, I own a Mitsubishi Mirage. And I just doubled down and said, no, that is a truly dreadful little car. It just is. Now, you bought it for what, $10,000 back in the day? Great, good for you. It fills a purpose. But to me, I just doubled down. So I'm not so crazy about the Ford EcoSport. I would say that would be the answer to that question, the car that I dreaded the most. Just that car did not work for me. Just didn't work, and it's gone now. And I think the world is a better place for that. Marvin, thank you very much for the donation. Marvin, did you have a question? Because it's not showing up. How bad is the infotainment on the Mark 8 GTI? I don't know, because unfortunately I haven't gotten my hand on a GTI Mark 8. I've heard it's not so great. I don't like the entertainment system that's in the ID4. The weird thing about that system is they all have consistency, right? Like your computer, you click it and it does that. For some reason, that user interface would just confuse me. I would think I will just go back to the main menu and I would swipe or do whatever I needed to do, and it would go someplace else. I never really figured it out. So I'm going to try to get my hands on a GTI because I love driving GTIs. I've almost bought a GTI like 5 times, and then something would happen. But so I'll try to get back to you on that. Let's see. TK Porsche, thank you very much. So here's the deal. You know, the way that I approach my reviews, I feel like there's a lot of people out there that write about cars, and who they're writing for is other auto writers. And I don't do that. I'm not trying to impress anybody. Um, it's I'm trying to get information out. I'm trying to reach the person who's thinking about that particular vehicle. You know, whether or not, you know, it's an SUV or a hatchback or a convertible. I try to put myself in that person's shoes, because you can't just write it for yourself. I mean, I personally like two-seat sports cars. That's my thing. And I would I would slam SUVs and three-row crossovers all day long, because I would be going at it with that kind of mindset. But you really do. You have to put yourself in the mindset of the person that's thinking about buying the vehicle. Am I always right? No. I get some things wrong. I think I gaffed on two things with the Nissan Z. I was told there was a sport button, and it was the Synchromesh, so I called it a sport button, and could have sworn that it had wireless charging because my phone stayed charged in that thing. So, but I do really try to sweat the details, because I know that people rely on the information. But every once in a while, I goof. I'm human. After watching your trip from Seattle to Portland, made the decision to switch from Wind all-wheel drive to GT line rear-wheel drive. Yeah, you know what? I mean, rear-wheel drive on that car is great. And, you know, yeah, you sacrifice some performance as far as acceleration and some traction if you live in an area where you can really use all-wheel drive. I would like to have an all-wheel drive vehicle, because we do get snow, and the rain in Seattle does make the roads really slippery, and the all-wheel drive system does help on that sort of stuff. But congratulations on the EV6 purchase. Those are really hard to find. My dad bought one just before they went nutso, and he actually paid a little bit under sticker price. So go dad. Most Mitsubishis are dreadful except for the new Outlander. Yeah, the new Outlander is actually a Nissan. It's the new Rogue, you know, with some different pieces. Will Ford be successful in stopping dealers from doing 5-digit markups on Bronco and Mustang GT? You know what? I don't know. My suggestion is, if you are shopping at a dealership that's marking things up, go to a different dealership. In Seattle, we're lucky. We have a whole bunch to choose from. You know, in any dealership, whether it's, you know, Audi or Honda or, you know, what have you. You don't have to pay it, you know, just walk away. You have the power. You know, I don't buy that many cars, so for me to tell you how to buy a car, you know, I'm not really all that good at it. But I will say, you know, you have to make the decision whether or not you're going to pay additional dealer markup and how much you're going to pay. I would not pay $10,000 over sticker price on any vehicle, you know, unless it was like a Porsche GT3, and then that would be a good deal. Let's see. Does the skateboard battery solidify tall SUVs, or do you see a future for other form factors like two-seat sports cars? Steven, yeah, well, Porsche is on record that the next 718 Boxster and Cayman are going to be electrified. And so, yeah, those are skateboard thing. And I've always thought that, you know, that's where electrification is really going to be fun for the enthusiasts. I mean, you've got all that low-end torque, and you put those heavy batteries down below. That is just the perfect recipe for a high performance sports car. So the thing is, where they're putting their money right now is vehicles that people want, right? Sports cars are not high production cars. You know, I believe there's a figure out that Toyota sold more RAV4s last year than all sports cars combined, right? So automakers, yeah, they're in the business of making cars, but they're really in the business to make money. And so they have to look at their bottom line like that. So, when will the 23 Sienna be released? I do not know. Do you notice any major differences between the Voltec in the Gen 2 powertrain compared to my ELR? Yeah, my wife's car is quicker. It also feels lighter, and it also goes a lot farther on a charge. I mean, she'll often get 45 to 55 miles on a charge for her Volt. I typically get about 35 for my ELR. So, yeah, but my ELR has a much nicer interior, though. It's actually one of the best interiors that Cadillac has ever done. And on top of that, it just looks gorgeous. I ordered G3 back in December. Car gets here. The dealer. Wow, that's pretty bad. If you ordered a GT3, I mean, you should have had an agreement that you were paying X amount for that car. Yikes. Wow. $120,000 over sticker price. Well, yikes. I could not find any Seattle area Cadillac dealership that would promise MSRP. All three wanted about 5 over. What are you, DB? What kind of car are you looking at? Are you looking at the LYRIQ? To be really honest with you, $5,000 over sticker price on the LYRIQ is a pretty good deal, because while I am going to go see the LYRIQ in, I believe, 3 weeks in Park City, Utah, looking forward to that. I know people that have seen the LYRIQ and they said it blew them away. And this makes me happy just because I think General Motors has squandered the Cadillac brand for decades. And I would really like to see Cadillac be Cadillac, right? Really high-end materials, deep performance, all that kind of stuff. The black wings are great. You know, there's the argument that Cadillac is actually doing performance better than luxury these days. But people who've seen the LYRIQ say it's the real deal, that it's very impressive. Let's see here. Was a 440i Grand Coupe a bad choice? No. Why? Why would that? No, it's a usable hatchback. It drives great. You know, no. I mean, you picked it for a reason, right? I like those cars. I actually like the 4 Series, the Grand Coupe, more than the 3 Series, just because I'm kind of practical, said the guy who likes sports cars. And I like that it has the hatchback. You can lay, you know, big things in there. So, you know, enjoy your car. Sorry, I will work on the stereo thing. I'm using a microphone system that is supposed to be stereo, and so it's only on one side. I'll work on that. I need a Tahoe-sized truck for that price. Only EV in that price range are small. Yeah, well, you know what? There are no large EVs right now except for the Hummer and the Ford F-150 Lightning, which, if you didn't put your order in back 6, 7, 8 months ago, it's going to be 2 years before you get one. You know, there's a shortage of materials and microchips and batteries. I think you've probably all heard that. And the market is shifting towards EVs. but it's going to be a slow change. The reality is there are only so many engineers and product managers that they can that can work on these vehicles, and so it's going to take a while. Um, let's see. Uh, yes, the ELR is a stunning design, and the only thing I worry about is whether or not I'll be able to get parts for it in 10 years. Check back with me if I still have it. Contacted dealers in California, Oregon, and Washington. They all wanted $5,000 over sticker on the iPace. You're going to have to decide whether or not that's a good deal for you. Electric cars have become extremely popular simply because a lot of people are trying to save on gas. I mean, it's a dumb idea to sell a car and get an EV simply because you want to save gas, because you're spending way, way, way more on the car than you would on gasoline. But if you are making the switch, it is a good, people are now considering EVs where they weren't, just simply because of the gas prices. Let's see here. Opinion of the 2022 Venza. Perfectly wonderful vehicle. What else are you shopping? So you've got the Venza. You're thinking about that. It's a hybrid. But what else are you looking at? That's the thing I always drill down on people. What else are you test driving? So you know that the vehicle that ends up in your driveway is the one that's right for you. So that's all I'll say about that. You need to go out and test drive. It's why I like auto shows, right? Because you can go from car to car to car to car, and you can experience the vehicles, see how the cockpits are, how the back seat is, what the trunk space is. I hope auto shows don't go away. When do you think the dealer markups will end? I think it's a year or two away, simply. I do. It's just the way things are. There's going to be shortages for at least 6 months to a year. And then there's going to be some sort of, that demand that people, have been waiting to get cars. Even though they're going to be able to push cars out and manufacture them, there's still going to be a pent-up demand. It's going to be a while. Brian, what do you think about the BZ4X? I want to replace my Prius. Brian, I haven't driven the BZ4X. I hate the name. I mean, it's just BZ4X. And I know that it means BZ means beyond zero, and then 4X, four-wheel drive. But the reality is right now the BZ4X is only front-wheel drive. The Solterra is the only way to get all-wheel drive on that vehicle for now. So I haven't seen it. I've seen it, but I haven't driven it. To be honest with you, I've heard average things about it. That it's fine. That it's not going to blow anybody away. The EV6 and the Ioniq 5 seem to be the one when you're talking about affordable electric vehicles. Though that's the one that people seem to really, really like. And I agree. Those two are excellent, excellent vehicles. So if you're thinking about the BZ4X, definitely check out EV6 and the Ioniq 5 and Mustang Mach-E. Really, all of those are great. Let's see. Sorry, it's like there's. Let's see. Manish, QX, Q7, and Discovery. I like smaller vehicles, so I would go with the X5, just simply on that. But this is the worst time to buy a new car. Take care of the one. Yes, agree, Rust the Star. Just take care of your car. Cars last a long time these days. Let's see. What ICE would you like to have in your garage with the expectation that they will be going away forever? They're not going to be going away forever. The internal combustion engine will be with us for a long time, longer than I think most people think. Because for one thing, it's going to take us a while to make the transition. And second of all, they have a purpose. People in rural areas, electric cars don't work very well for them. I would go for a 911 Turbo S. How about that? You know, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it well. Have I had issues with Q in my ELR? It gets bad reputation. No, it's just kind of slow and laggy. I did have the cracked screen that all ELRs had, but it was covered under warranty. Richard H., favorite four-door wagon hatch SUV under $100,000. You can get a Porsche Cross Turismo for under $100,000. So, you know, I gotta say, I love Volvo wagons. So I would say maybe a V90 cross country. I do love me a Volvo wagon. My family grew up with wagons. My wife, we had 4 Volvo wagons as I brought my children up. And 3 of them were totaled. You know, got hit by a semi, got hit by a Ford F-250. Not only did we just enjoy driving the vehicles, I have seen the safety features up close and personal. I was never in the car. I have never been in a bad accident. But I have seen the aftermath and how they work. I know that all cars are much safer than they were 10 years ago. But gotta say, the Volvos were terrific. So there you go. That's it. Mohammed in Libya, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Will you see Mitsubishi reviews? Yeah, maybe. I don't get access to Mitsubishi press cars all that much. There's just so many different cars. I can't get to everything. I think part of my problem is that I spend too much time researching them and photographing them and all that, because I grew up in the television business as a photographer editor, so I have a hard time with bad photography. So I do spend a little bit too much time on that, but I enjoy it. So, you know. Now leaning towards a brand new EV. Do you have any advice for success in the EV media space? You know what? Just keep at it. I plugged away. I mean, and I had the advantage that I was on the NBC station for years and years and years. And I started with YouTube, and it's a slow slog getting people. Some people are better at it. I'm not very good at attracting new subscribers. I'm a content creator. I'm not very good at attracting new people to my channel. Everybody says that I should have a lot more followers. So be it. The ones that I have are great. I literally have other automotive writers say, do I edit all my comments? And maybe 1 or 2 a month I'll have to take down because it's just really awful. But the folks that are on my channel, you guys are terrific. You really are. I have other auto writers telling me that, so it's worth something. Prius, Venza, Camry, Corolla Hybrid. I would say the Venza has the quietest. Thoughts on the VW ID Buzz? Haven't seen it. Looking forward to it. It has been the biggest tease in the automotive industry. My goodness, that and the Tesla Cybertruck. You know, it's just like, when is this thing going to finally come to market? But it looks cool, and vans are useful. I like them. Do you think those awful touch buttons will go away? Nope. In fact, I think you're going to see a lot more of them. They're cheaper to produce. It's one of the reasons why Tesla doesn't have buttons in their cars. The big touchscreen, it's actually a cost-saving thing. It's much easier to do software on a screen and do all of that than to install physical buttons and all that kind of stuff. Physical buttons are great. But, you know, automakers, it's all about saving money. I know they tried to pass the savings on to you, but any word on new Infiniti sedans? Q50 is getting old? Nope, sorry. I mean, I do know of a few Nissan Infiniti products that are coming in the next year or two because I went back to Japan and saw everything that they were doing for the next 5 years. But the reality is I can't say anything about the stuff that that hasn't been out yet. So sorry. Let's see. Will people ever get over the nose? You know, whatever. Of the nose of the 4 Series, it is what it is. It looks better in different colors. The white i4 that I had, which is very similar to the 4 Series Grand Coupe. Excuse me. In white, it doesn't look as good, but you know, like the crazy, like the chartreuses and dark colors, I think it works a lot better. Let's see. How to make test drive. Advice on how to make a test drive really be informative for the vehicle. Turn off the radio. Concentrate. Try to hit some big bumps, right? You know, make sure, you know, before you go out, set all the mirrors like you would, like it's your car. Check for visibility, all of that kind of stuff. You know, the reality is that test drives are, you know, 15, 20 minutes long. Those are very, very short. I mean, I live with a car for a week. And so, and sometimes I feel like that's not long enough. And so I suggest, you know, just concentrating really hard, thinking about road noise, what it's like when you hit big bumps. And, you know, do your research, look at reviews before you test drive. That way you can, you know, you've got a leg up already. You've already figured out what's, you know, that reviewer or reviewers liked and didn't like. And that way you can figure things out, you know, a little bit more, you know, completely. Jerry, you think I'm the best. Oh, thank you. I've heard Q60 is going away for good. You know, it could be because it's not as if people are buying sedans. People are buying SUVs and crossovers and hatchbacks. It's just the way the market is going. What is my dream car? You know what? I think I would go with a Porsche Taycan GTS. That's a nice car. And if it was my dream car, I would go with the sedan over the Sport Turismo because then it's really more of just a two-seater because the back seat in the sedan is a little bit on the tight. Was disappointed in the new C-Class interior quality. I haven't seen it yet, so I'll have to get back to you on that. Rogue Platinum or RAV4? Brandon, that is a personal choice, but I will say if you're going with the RAV4, I highly suggest the hybrid powertrain. I find that the gas-only powertrain in the RAV4 is kind of buzzy and rough. It's not that great. I highly recommend. Yes, fuel economy is great, but I also recommend just the hybrid just for the better, smoother powertrain. And you should also be looking at the new Sportage, especially with the hybrid powertrain. The new Sportage is very, very, very good. You know, the reality is Kia and Hyundai have been making excellent vehicles for the past 5, 6, 7 years, and people are only now starting to figure that out. I mean, we have a Kia Soul, bought it in 2012, gas and oil. Didn't need the 100,000 mile warranty. It is now living in Burbank with my son who's going to music school there. So Kia's hand wash only paint seems like a big mistake. You do have to sign an agreement for the paint guarantee when you buy those cars. Go in with your eyes wide open. You know what? The thing is that at least they're offering it. And in person, it looks great. I love that matte finish paint, but it's a lot of work. I personally would never buy matte finish paint. I also live in a neighborhood that is loaded with huge trees and it would kill the paint. I wish Honda would come back with a new Prelude. Yeah, but they're not because, again, people don't buy sporty cars anymore. They just don't. They were really popular in the 70s and the 80s and maybe in the 90s. They just don't sell. People like me love them. People out in the real world don't buy them, you know? That's just the way it is. I wish they'd come out with another S2000. Hand tremor versus touchscreens. Do makers consider this common problem for older persons? Hey Zeke, here's a trick for you. It was actually taught to me by the guy that designed the touchscreen of the Jaguar I-Pace. Use your thumb and anchor your anchor your thumb at the bottom, the top, or the side, and it makes choosing buttons on the touchscreen a lot easier. It works for everybody, not just people with tremors, and it works really great when you're on a bumpy road. Every once in a while, I'll mention that. It's got a nice place to rest my thumb, so it makes it easier. So hopefully that helps. Wish new Sportage lead hammer has ugly interiors with reflective tablets. Well, that's your opinion. That is not my opinion. Let's see. What do I think of the Fisker Ocean? Haven't seen it. I've only seen pictures of it. And so I will have to defer because I don't comment on vehicles that I haven't seen. I'm hoping that Fisker does come through and has affordable vehicles. They're trying. Apparently the pair is supposed to be $30,000. We'll see. The new Chevy Equinox is supposed to be $30,000. That's always with an asterisk though, because it's always $30,000. Of course it's stripped. And then it's, there's the destination charge. And the last time I checked, you can't buy a car without the destination charge. Ford is especially egregious about that with the Maverick. It says it starts at under $20,000, which is complete BS because the destination charge is $1,500, which is more than most people. I think BMW charges $995. So I'm thinking there's a little bit of profit built into that. How about you? Do I think Porsche would ever make a two-door Panamera? I don't think so. Two doors don't go very well in the marketplace. It's one of the reasons why the ELR did so poorly, because people don't like two doors. My wife hates two-door cars, hates them. She's small, and so it's really hard for her to reach the door to close it. And it's a very common complaint. People like four doors. I'm going to have to start wrapping this up, folks, because speaking of the lovely and charming, she is making dinner. And I haven't had lunch today. I was out shooting, and I just got busy and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Let's take a few more. I'll just be really brief with skateboard electric platforms. Wonder if coach building would become a thing. Jeffrey, yeah, I think that could be a thing. I know Magna is coming out with different platforms and all, so I do think that could be a thing. How do I feel about the probable demise of the Ford Edge? I think they've said that it's going away. The Ford Edge to me, I like smaller vehicles, and the Ford Edge was always one of those vehicles that didn't seem to have tons and tons of room inside, but was really big outside. So, you know, the reality is if Ford is selling a lot of them, they'll keep making it. But I don't know that the Edge has been a particularly, you know, high volume seller. Um, it's kind of an odd size. You know, I think they sell a lot more Explorers and Escapes. How does one replace the batteries in a skateboard electric? You know what? I haven't done it, so I don't know. But here's one really interesting thing. General Motors, the new Ultium battery technology, which isn't just batteries, but it's a whole new way of making sure that the batteries all talk to each other. I talked to the engineer at the Hummer EV thing, and one of the advantages of the Ultium is that it's really super easy to scale it because they have these shoebox sized battery modules. And instead of wiring them all together to get all of the information and all that kind of stuff, it's all wireless. So the modules will talk to the system via a module sort of thing and or over electronics. So one, it saves weight. And the second thing is that they said, if you ever need to change one of these modules, it's going bad, it's really easy to figure out which one is doing that. And then they figure that the chemistry will probably change. Because of that wireless technology, they'll be able to compensate for that. So even if it's a completely different chemistry makeup, they'll be able to just put this new battery in, this new module in, and it will work with all of the old ones. The Ultium platform is one of those things that once people understand it, I think it's going to blow people away. It's really cool. And I need to do more research on it myself, but everything that I know about it, it's pretty cool. Equinox EV is going to be a huge hit. If General Motors can market it, you know what? I'm in the Bolt EUV. I've had people coming out of the woodwork saying, what is that? It's really cool. The Bolt, I know it's had its problems. I know it's had its issues with the battery pack and all. But again, good on General Motors for taking care of everybody that owned them and replacing them. I still think that buying a used Bolt right now, they're very affordable. It's a great way to go to just dip your toe into the EV marketplace. But General Motors just seems to have a big problem with marketing. You know, they make some really, really good vehicles, and they've made good vehicles for the last 10 years. Sometimes I just want to go, you know, like the Volt. The Volt is a brilliant car. It works great. Everybody I know that owns them loves them, and they couldn't give those cars away. My wife bought her Volt. She got $10,000 off the sticker price. They just wanted to get rid of it. Yeah, I mean, with the federal tax credit, that car was under $20,000. It was cheaper than a base Honda Civic, and she buys like 1 or 2 tanks of gas a year. Kenton from Bitter Lake. I go to Costco every once in a while up there, but not for the TP trunk test. Missed the start of the live stream. You didn't miss much, all right, because I had all sorts of technical problems, but I've got a good idea of how to make it work now. So, all right, I am thinking if a car is good enough, it will sell itself. That's not true. And Tesla, they've done plenty of marketing. They just haven't done traditional advertising. You know, and you know what? I think it's really great what Tesla has done with making the electric car cool. I'm really curious to see where that company is going in the next 5 years because, you know, a lot of their products are getting kind of long in the tooth. And, you know, there's all sorts of new electric cars coming out. And it'll be interesting to see with real solid competition how Tesla will do. Plus, Elon seems to be melting down right now. We'll see. I hope that Tesla survives. I mean, I know that Tesla will survive. There's no issue. I mean, there's no question about that. It's the brand has too much value. But I mean, I look at the stock price and all that kind of stuff, and I think that's just not tenable. But put your face in every thumbnail. You know what? It's about the car. It's not about me. And I know it's marketing and all that kind of stuff. I market myself like General Motors markets stuff. So, okay. Does Costco take the TP trunk test back? Yes. So I will leave you with this. This will be the last thing that I talk about, folks. Here's the way the TP trunk test happened. My first review, I went to Costco, and I was only there just to do to run some errands, and I just happened to have my gear, and I saw the TP there, and I went, "Hey, this would be kind of funny." And the original thing was that I was going to be doing it as it fits in the trunk. That's what the test was going to be. This fits in the trunk. And the first car I ever did was an Audi A4 Cabriolet. And, so I bought 2 packs of toilet paper and I just took them home. And so my boss saw this and he said, "That's funny." He goes, "That needs to be your standardized test." And so rather than it fits in the trunk, it became the TP trunk test. So I went down to Costco with another car and I told the manager what I wanted to do. And he said, yeah, it's fine, but you should probably check with corporate. So Costco, as you know, is based in the Seattle area. So I called up corporate and I talked to the person at the switchboard and explained what I wanted to do. I worked at King 5 TV and I'm doing car reviews and this is how I want to measure the trunk. And she said, and I said, "Can I talk to the PR department?" She said, "Sure." Sends me back and I talk to this guy, explain it all again. And he goes, "Oh yeah, sure. That's great. Yeah, do it." And I'm like, "Okay, do I need a letter?" And he goes, "No. Just tell him that Jim said it's okay." I'm like, "Okay, Jim." Hey, Jim, what's your last name? It's Jim Senegal. Jim Senegal is basically the guy that started Costco. He is, him and a couple other guys, but he's sort of the public face. So she just sent me back basically to the CEO. And so I explained to the manager that Jim said it was perfectly fine and go ahead and do it. And so from then, and it's been over 15 years, I go in, I grab a bunch, and I wheel it out the entrance. And I just say, "Hey, checking out a dozen." And, they all know me, and they ask what I'm testing, and a lot of people will come out to the parking lot to see what I'm doing. Costco's been very, very good. I will say that the TP trunk test takes a lot of time to do. From start to finish, like from going out the door of my house, it takes like almost 3 hours sometimes because I have to drive to Costco. I've got to go in, get the toilet paper, figure it out. So, but it is one of those things that I am kind of known for. And it's a good test. It's about the size of a carry-on suitcase. So, a review on the kicks. I did a review of the kicks. So search my channel, okay? Let's see. Yes, that is the long, gory story about how the TP trunk test works. There was one manager at Costco that he ran a very, very tight ship, and he made me buy it and return it. And all of the employees were like, "What?" Because it made more work for everybody because I learned how to restock it. So I take it out and I bring it back and I restock it and I put it on the pallets the way it's supposed to be. So it was more work for everybody. And then there was, of course, but he didn't last very long. He was gone pretty quick. And then the pandemic, every once in a while, I mean, for a long time, I just didn't do it because they even asked me, do you want us to save like 10 bundles for you? And I just said, no, I can't do that. I mean, the very fact that I would be rolling out of the parking lot with 10 packs of toilet paper on a dolly, I think I would have been robbed because toilet paper was that scarce. So anyways, but all right. How was Z driving? Z driving was great. If you get a chance, the Z car is great. Thanks everybody. And I, hope you got something out of this chat. I will do them occasionally. I'm kind of doing them now just to test out all of the technical stuff. So I need to work on making sure that I don't have any snafus in the beginning and centering the audio so it's just coming, it's coming out into both of your headphones. So I'm aware of these things. All right. I'm going to go eat dinner, right? I got it at Costco. I got a rotisserie chicken. So the world of Costco. Thanks, everybody. And stay safe out there. Don't text and drive, okay? It's the life you save may be your own. All right. See ya. Bye now. And thanks to all of the people that contributed to the gas fund for the super chat. I do appreciate it. Very nice of you. All right.